Okay, now that I have game capture equipment, it's nice to not have to use an emulator. So let's see what it looks like recording on the Super Nintendo. Oh no, No! Oh, this does not look... Well, turns out there's more equipment I have to get. So... Hey, emulator! This is Brand New Relic, the monthly series where I finally play the classic games I never got to try. First off, basically all of the spoilers for Earthbound, so if you've never played this 25-year-old game, you should give it a try. When I first came up with the idea for this series, there were 3 games that instantly came to mind. The first was Final Fantasy VII, the second was Silent Hill 2, and the third was Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, but the fourth was Earthbound. And Call of Duty can wait. Call of Duty can always wait. I've heard about this game for years, mainly because it's so, shall we say, unique? But every time I tried to play it, the difficulty right out of the starting gate put me off. This time though, I'm sucking it up and powering through. But first... I know a bit of the history behind this one. I know it's the second entry in the franchise known as... Mother! Which was popular in Japan, but failed to find an audience in the United States. Which is so bizarre, why wouldn't we want a game like this? But it gained notoriety here when the protagonist Ness was featured in the very first Smash Bros. Game, which is interesting considering he was included in the series before, Bowser, Ganondorf, Peach, Zelda, Wario. And I know that Earthbound is the primary influence for Undertale, and Undertale was the primary reason I started making Watch Me Jump. So I guess Earthbound is why my first game exists? So, thanks? Anyway, let's start this war with the Gigas? Googles? Whatever, let's get cracking. Now, here's the thing. This is where I would walk you through the game's narrative, and then something weird would happen, and I'd say, video games, everybody. But Earthbound is just one big video games everybody. So instead, here's a list of everything in Earthbound that struck me as bizarre. You choose your color scheme by listing your favorite flavor, and I'm sorry, no one's favorite flavor is banana. You can name everyone, or, who cares, right? So we have Ness, who I'm naming Gem, and then we have Paula, Jeff, and... Okay. And then I name my favorite thing, which I guess is my new daughter, but wait, now it's the coolest thing? Because make no mistake, that's rollerblading. The year is 1990X, which means that personally I'm somewhere between 2nd grade and graduating high school. I wake up, steal my sister's present, agree to help the annoying next-door neighbor find his brother, and get a call from my dad in the middle of the night, who reminds me that I have an ATM card? How old am I? Where's my dad right now? Why does my mom talk to me like this? I already have so many questions. We fight spiteful crows on our way to checking out a meteorite that is weirdly unguarded. And then we meet a talking bee who tells us that we're going to save the human race from the Gigas. And together we start our journey to... Well, so much for that. Also, what is that? And it turns out my next-door neighbor loaned my dad $100,000? For what? So I say goodbye to my mom and venture into town where there are guys wearing hockey masks who don't speak, which isn't creepy at all. Then I walk down the middle of the street to this arcade where all of the games are that hugely popular title Stairs. And before I know it, I'm fighting tanks and buying all the hamburgers I can find. I sneak into this cave and my daughter becomes a special move. Neat! I defeat a Titanic ant. I'm the king of the world! And I record the first part of a melody. Turns out my goal is to record 7 more. So I leave the cave and this cop just trusts that I'll turn myself in. But first, a good night's sleep. And then someone named Paula reaches out to me telepathically to tell me her name is Paula. I go to the police station where I'm lectured on tax evaders while beating up cops. This game plays very differently in 2020. But unlike 2020, I get to walk out of the police station without recourse. Also, Nintendo, why are you plugging yourself? Then I travel from Onett to Tucson. Oh, I see what you're doing there. Where I get a teddy bear and interact with Mr. T. Mother! I fight a new age retro hippie, the most dangerous of all of God's creatures. And I befriend a criminal named Everdred, as well as a child adventure named Apple Kid who's my new best friend and I don't care what you say about it. He makes a machine that can erase giant pencils that block my path, which is just downright convenient. I keep getting my picture taken for some unknown reason, and then I'm in Happy Happy Village, which is weirdly close to Wild Wild Country in both name and aesthetic. Everyone pretends it's not a cult town, which is difficult when you're literally attacked by insane cultists. But I defeat the head of the cult, release Paula from prison, and my dad just keeps feeding me money. I get the second melody, reunite Paula with her family, and then we're watching a band called the Runaway Five, which... Can Dan Aykroyd legally sue? And are they playing to an empty house? Oh, they've got those debt blues. Yeah, same, buddy. But we get $10,000, which we somehow don't use to buy a jet ski, and instead pay to the band in order to get safe passage to Threed. Yep, very clever. Wasn't this scene in Almost Famous? So we're in Threed, and didn't I already play Silent Hill 2? We meet a woman who is very unclothed, and... oh, cool, great. We're stuck in a dungeon, so now it's time to switch narratives to this twerpy guy. Jeff leaves his boarding school, but not before stealing a bunch of cookies and raiding the locker room. Then I'm off with a monkey who gets as easily distracted as a boo. I meet a guy who farts out of excitement, definitely been there. Talk to a man named Brick Road, and here's another melody, but oh, denied Jeff. The monkey leaves for reasons that definitely don't look very consensual, and then I'm at Stonehenge because why not? And oh, denied by Stonehenge, Jeff. This game does not want to be played by you. Oh, hi, inexplicable cavemen. Bye, inexplicable cavemen. Then I run into my dad, who we haven't seen in 10 years?
10 years, man! 10!
Then I get into the Skyrunner, which runs across the sky. Jeff saves our heroes, but not before describing himself in a way that I super identify with. Then we fight a circus tent monster and capture zombies with flypaper. If only Rick Grimes had that. And you wish you had pretty girl paper? Oh, not a nice thing to say, you think? It's time to take out the leader of the zombies, so we travel to a village where everyone's named Mr. Saturn. Is there a Mrs. Saturn? And to get to the zombie leader, we have to wait behind this waterfall for 3 minutes. Which is nice. It gives me time to reflect. As the year is coming to a close and we deal with the repercussions of everything that happened in 2020, it's hard not to believe that the bad outweighed the good. Granted, there were a lot of things to be thankful for this year. I became the father of the most adorable baby who I get to spend a lot of time with. And I started this series, which has been a really fun way to flex my creative muscles. A play that I've worked on for the past 6 years is finally getting an audience. There's a lot to celebrate. And yet, despite everything that's good, I feel like I'm gonna look back on this year and be filled with nothing but sadness. And oh, okay, we're good to go. We fight this total charmer who says, "Suffer Spanky." Don't know why that didn't take off as a catchphrase. Then we rest in some hot springs, take a coffee break, and have a nice little recap/motivational speech. Then we're on to, Fourside. But first, we have to get through this desert with random sunbathers, a romance between 2 sesame seeds, and these 3 stereotypes named Poncho, Pincho, and Thomas Jefferson. But ooh, I got a diamond. Then it's on to Fourside, where we're fighting a mad taxi. Would you call that a crazy taxi?
Hey, it's time to make some crazy money. Are you ready? Here we go!
And apparently this diamond is worth $1 million, but we use our sudden significant wealth to help out those in tremendous debt. Are you listening, Bezos? So we visit the mall and... yoink! Paulo is taken by this alien who thinks we're going to heaven. Aw, that's nice. We defeat him and then we run into Everdread, who's seen better days. He gives us a lovely haiku before he shuffles off this mortal... oh, nope, okay. Then before we know it, we're in this place. And this place sucks. Yes is no, and no is yes. Literal art attacks you, and you get around town by warping. But we finally get out, go back to the desert, and learn how to teleport. I should practice more. Then the mob boss who kidnapped Paula turns out to just be a feeble old man, and... is that Pokey, the annoying kid next door? What's his deal? So it's back on the tour bus.
Blue jean baby, LA lady.
I need you all to know that I tried singing that and then realized I don't want to do that to you. We reunite Jeff with his dad, who tells us that Jeff used to wet the bed. No shame, Jeff, it happens. And E equals MC squared. I think that's already been solved, buddy. Then we're back in the Skyrunner, and doesn't this song sound like The Who? So now we're in the lovely seaside town, and I'm honestly starting to get jealous of this young boy's financial situation. We meet a cat that says fist, fist. Fist, fist. And then a game with no online component asks me to register my actual name, and that's actually the most unsettling part of the game so far. Then we go to an exclusive club, and I've definitely heard people talk like this when I was in LA. Though nowadays I can absolutely envision the final collapse of capitalism. Then we get a magic cake that makes us hallucinate. Yeah, I think I had that in LA too. Then we go to the Palace of Pooh, which is what I call my bathroom, and one of the monks is a telephone. Cool. And as strange as this may sound, now you care about how strange something sounds? Then I talk to this guy who... okay, bye. And I meditate long enough for this face to show up, and I just let him break my legs, rip off my arms, cut off my ears, and remove my eyes. Seems like a real fun guy. But it turns out it was all a test that we passed, which is good, because otherwise this would be a short game. So Pooh joins our party with the greatest character introduction I've ever seen. We return to Forestside, where we meet the singer Venus, who either kissed us or slapped us. Then we join a sea captain who gets seasick, and then...
Release the Kraken!
Then we're exploring the pyramids, and the hieroglyphics come off the walls, but we make our way to the exit, and then it's time for Pooh to go. Adieu, Pooh! We enter a fun-looking tower, which comes with a hospital and a bunch of fun messages from Brick Road. It turns out he is the tower. Congrats on the promotion. He joins our party, and then he leaves our party. But he lets us use his vehicle museum, so now we all live in a yellow submarine, which takes us to a swamp where we fight Master Belch again. Except this time his name is Puke, but then Pooh comes back and Pooh defeats Puke, and I can't believe I'm actually saying these words. Then someone kidnapped Apple Kid, don't you dare hurt my best friend! But we save him and he tells us to retrieve a book from the library, which in my opinion is the best place to retrieve a book. While at the library, I try to return the map I borrowed, but the librarian tells me I don't have to return until the year 2001. It's, pretty late for that. And right, I gave this game my name. I fully regret that decision. So we use the book to cure these adorable little sprites of their shyness, and then after another battle, we end up in a Manchester nightclub that projects my thoughts on the walls. And then we're on a map roughly the size of Liberty City, and we finally get all 8 pieces of the Soundstone, which drops us on the set of Inception. Colors change every time I talk to someone, a team of wrestlers join me, and then I'm fighting my nightmare, which sucks so hard. Okay, me, settle down. We're treated to this Baz Luhrmann montage, and then I'm back with my party. We stock up on supplies, and then it's time for the finale. We get in a phase distorter, which... Okay, we grab a piece of the meteorite from the beginning of the game, and now we're in a phase distorter. And it turns out we're truly excellent! But in order to really use the phase distorter, we need to get turned into robots. So we get Metropolis, and this is definitely not where I saw this game going. We walk through this literal sausage factory, and it turns out Pokey is working with the Geigas.
Hey, look at us.
Look at us. Huh? Who would have thought?
Not me.
But it's okay, because Paula starts praying, and all of the people we've helped along the way pray with us. But there's still one person left to help them, and it's... me? That's why I gave them my name? Because I'm helping them? But also I'm controlling them, so haven't I been helping them the entire time? I'm so confused how this works. But regardless, it turns out I defeat the Geigas, so I'm the hero! Hooray for me! We're back in our human bodies, Pooh smoke bombs out of here, Jeff gives us each a kiss before piecing out, Paula goes back to her family, Pokey's mom has a gentleman caller while his dad is away, and I have a dance party at my house. And then the credits roll while looking at all of the pictures that were taken during the game. Oh, that's true. And then we get this cliffhanger, and we're at the end? Was this written by R.L. Stine? So now I can definitively say, video games, everybody! Earthbound has a lot to love. When you expect RPGs to look like this, it's a unique change of pace to be tossed into this world that's both ordinary and exceptionally bizarre. The character design is fantastic, with thought put into almost every single sprite. These are some of the most unique monsters I've ever come across in a game, ranging from the delightfully goofy to the downright disturbing. Sometimes both. The music here is excellent, perfectly establishing the mood of every world you walk into, letting you know what you're getting into. As far as combat goes, I'm a big fan of seeing the enemies coming, Final Fantasy VII, and a lot of the time I could avoid being overpowered by simply running away. Seriously, I exited and re-entered a room a lot. No. 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 Ah, there we go. And I appreciated being able to automatically win certain battles just by being at a much higher level, and that some enemies actually try to avoid you based on your current level. And then there's the story. Earthbound is hilarious. Almost every interaction is funny in some way, with a dynamic cast of characters who all seem to be on the same goofy wavelength. Back when this was made, games certainly had humor, but few of them had so many genuine laugh-out-loud moments as this one does. But here's the thing. This is perhaps unfair to Earthbound, but I was spoiled by Undertale, which is a game I deeply love, and which was inspired by Earthbound. Like that game, Earthbound is very funny, but it also shows its heart very early on. For most of Earthbound, everyone was being very funny, and it felt like that was it. Even when talking to my parents, it was more sardonic than sincere. Eventually, the game starts showing genuine emotion, and I enjoyed its beautiful ending, but it felt very late in the game. It's like everyone that tells me that Death Stranding is worth it, even when the first 8 hours was, you know, incredibly boring. For most of the story, Earthbound is that guy that won't stop telling jokes. It's funny at first, but eventually you want to have a real conversation. And while it was nice to see the enemies coming, the balance and difficulty was very off-putting. You can very suddenly find yourself in a fight with way too many enemies, or an enemy with one-hit kills, robbing you of precious goods that you need for a boss battle. which means it's just easier to reset the game, go through the dungeon again, and hope the RNG is nicer to you the next time. Which may be fun for some people, but just felt unbalanced. It was this very thing that kept me from getting far in the game whenever I'd start to play it. And this time, forcing myself to get to the end, it made certain dungeons frustrating to the point of no longer being fun. If anyone is considering playing Earthbound, I highly recommend that you download the guide that came with the game back in the 90s. You can find it online, and it's not only beautifully designed with all of the trademark humor and weirdness, but it helps you get through some of the more difficult and unclear parts of the game. And there are plenty of those. So considering all of that, Earthbound is probably my least favorite game I've played so far in the series, which, I mean, there's only been 3, so it's not that big of a deal. I definitely understand the hype, and it's by no means a bad game, but its numerous frustrations don't have me clamoring to do another playthrough anytime soon. Still, its humor and uniqueness are worthy of praise, and it more than deserves its place in video game history. Overall, it was fun being this plucky character as he navigated a colorful world filled with unique monsters. So now, what's the next game? Oh. A plucky character navigating a colorful world filled with unique monsters. Well, alright then. Just a reminder that My Play D-Pad is having its virtual world premiere at Theater Exile in Philadelphia. And because it's virtual, you can see it. Yes, you! I'm talking to you! Opening night is December 2nd, so visit theaterexile.org for tickets and more info. I'd like to thank my Patreon supporters, in particular Brianne Shaw, and everyone else in the Palm Tree Panic tier and above, who got to see this video 3 days early. To get benefits like early access, bonus content, shoutouts, and polls that help decide future episodes, go to my Patreon and do what you do on Patreon. You can also follow me on Twitter for further updates. What's your favorite RPG? I haven't played that many RPGs, so let me know and it could be in a future episode. And you know the drill, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell to find out when future episodes happen. My next episode, well, I mean, you saw, it's Super Mario Galaxy 2, no mystery there. So until then, thank you so much for watching.